So this is about this whole thing about fake news. And yesterday there was a commencement ceremony for graduates, people who were graduating from the USC institution. And it was really, really crowded. You had to really be careful about driving around the campus because there were people all over trying to find places to park and trying to find, um, places where they could safely walk across the street because it was jam packed around the USC area. So, Oprah, I heard Forrest Whitaker was supposed to be one of the people, famous people at the ceremony. But here it's saying that Oprah was there and she had a really powerful speech. This term fake news, a lot of people have heard it by Donald Trump. He said this a lot about fake news. So there's several definitions about it. So fake news is neologism or neologism, often used to refer to fabricated news. So this type of news is found in traditional news. Social media, they also will point fingers at, or fake news websites. And it has no basis in fact, but it is presented as being factually accurate. Now, I know they were saying that on Facebook there was a lot of things like that, but it was sent through hacking through Russia to entice people to vote a certain way. And so I've heard that. And then I have seen some videos on YouTube that look like they're like news stations or they're set up really fancy. And I'm not fancy. I'm not a news station. I'm a regular person. So I'm not fake news or anything, but I do talk about things that are in the news and I talk about articles and I talk about things that are happening in the community or things that I've seen or what other people have seen. But no, I'm not a news station. I don't promote things that are fake. It's usually opinion with some facts. There are facts that come from articles that will talk about certain political issues or social issues or things that are just happening at random. So it could be a number of things. It's never really always one topic. A lot of things that have been happening lately have pointed around, racial disharmony. And so a lot of things are in the news, in real news, like NBC, um, you know, Channel 11, Channel 7, Channel 2, all the news media that is like Channel 11, Fox, like real American news stations, real articles that will come up. If I see something that grabs my attention, I'll pull it and then I'll voice an opinion about it, or I'll talk about what somebody else has said about it or something like that. But I don't have like a big cameras and a news looking like a news station. Some people do because maybe they can afford all of that or they've spent time to do all of that. Or there have been, however, some people who will do different things according to people's racial backgrounds. And they report on things a little bit differently than the regular news sites, than mainstream media, because a lot of time mainstream media will leave out some information or they'll tell only certain parts of things that they want people to hear. And then you have to go to several other stations to find out, okay, this station is Channel 4 said this, Channel 7 saying this, Channel 11 saying this. So sometimes people won't get all of the information out in the beginning. They're just developing the story. And then other times, some people will purposefully only tell you parts of things and they leave out, some details, or you're hearing a one-sided story. You're hearing one side of a version of a story, but you don't hear all of what's going on, or all of how everybody feels. You only hear one side of how one group feels, but you don't feel how everybody's feeling. And for a long time, I believe the reason why you have a lot of these things surrounding race is because a lot of times when you look at the news, you never really see Black people talking about their feelings. And so I guess that's the reason why there's a lot of little social media sites and things like that that cater to African American or Black people, because a lot of times they feel as though there's people that feel that their voices are not heard and they're ignored a lot. And so that's why they'll go to other sites that are more about how they feel. And collectively, if everybody is feeling a type of way, they want to hear what somebody else's experience is. Is it something that I'm only experiencing? Is it an isolated incident? Or is it something that everybody has kind of had a hand in feeling? And as we know that, I'm not saying that all Black people feel the same way, because we know that we don't all share the same opinions. We don't all share the same views. So there's another definition here about fake news. It says fake news meaning false stories that appear to be in news, spreads on the internet, or using media usually created to influence political views or just as a joke. And so some people will do things because they're trying to, I thought that most of it was coming around election time when they're trying to persuade people to vote. A lot of times that's when you'll see a lot of stuff come up on some of the social media. So here it shows Oprah Winfrey. She showed up, and it has her actually in USA Today and EW.com. So this isn't fake news. This is me reporting about something real that happened. Oprah Winfrey takes aim at fake news and misinformation in a speech at USC. And it's talking about her speech and what have you. So one says a day ago, one says 8 hours, one says 10 hours ago. And so she talks candidly about her feelings about fake news. And so here I'm going to click on this one. I looked at one of them earlier and I listened to part of her speech. And so Oprah Winfrey began her commencement speech at the USC California Annenberg School for Communication and Journalism with some bad news. Everything around us, including in particularly the internet and social media, is now being used to erode trust. So that's basically what her speech is saying. So I'm really reading what she said. So erode trust in our institutions, interfere with our elections, and wreak havoc on our infrastructure, she said. It hands advertisers a map to our deepest desires. It enables misfortune, our misinformation to run rampant, attention spans to run short, and false stories from phony sites to run circles around major news outlets. So we have literally walked into traffic while staring at our phones. But Winfrey, tapping into the same energy that moved the audience at this year's Golden Globes, made note of the good news. The good news is that really is a solution, she said. The solution is each and every one of you, because you will become the new editorial gatekeepers. An ambitious army of truth seekers will arm yourselves with intelligence and the insight and the facts necessary to strike down deceit. You're in a position to keep all of those who now disparage real news. You are the ones who are going to keep those people in check. And so why, she continued, because you can push back and you can answer false narratives with real information, and you can set the record straight. And you also have the ability and the power to give voice to those whom desperately now need to tell their stories and have their stories told. So it goes on to say a little further in this article. Now, I read another article. They don't tell everything in one, that you have to go and hunt out things in another. And so it goes on to say, which she said in her speech, that is how you overcome. Actually, let me read all of it here. Okay, so Winfrey further urged the graduating class to see through and transcend the hysteria of the current political climate. So this is what I was talking about. I think it has to do a lot with when, it does get really bad around election time when you start seeing more of these little things persuading people to vote certain ways. I saw a lot of that on Facebook. I'm not on Facebook anymore. I got off it. I deleted it because it was just so crazy. It's always crazy on there. And so it drove me crazy. So I got off of it. But it says here that she urged the graduating class to see through and transcend the hysteria of the current political climate. That is how you overcome the hysteria, and that is how you overcome the sniping at one another, the trolling, and the mean-spirited partisanship on both sides of the aisle, the divisiveness, the injustices, and the out-and-out hatred. You use it. Use this moment to encourage you and embolden you and to literally push you into the rising of your life. The media mogul joked she was a little hesitant to speak at the commencement because the rumors from the last big speech have finally died down, a reference to the chatter of the presidential aspirations that she had since debunked. That's when everybody was saying hashtag 2020 Oprah for president. And when she did the speech at the Golden Globes, people were saying Oprah for president. But she still came out and reiterated the importance of voting. And so if they go low, thank you, Michelle Obama. We go to the polls. Winfrey said, people died for that right. So I think about it every time I cast my vote. So don't let their sacrifice be in vain. So she has her full 20-minute long address in the video above. And so basically, this is saying all of the things that she said in this video here. So she's pictured here and doing her speech. And I believe it's 20 minutes long.
You did it! Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Wallace Annenberg. And a special thank you to Dean Willow Bay for inviting me here today. And to the parents, again, I say, and faculty, family, friends, graduates. Good morning. I want to give a special shout out because I was happy that Dean Bay invited me, but I was going to be here anyway. Because one of my lovely daughter girls attends the Annenberg School of Journalism and is getting her master's today. So I was coming whether I was speaking or not. So a special shout out to a young woman who I met when she was in the 7th grade. And it was the first year that I was looking for smart, bright, giving, resilient, kind, open-hearted girls who had it, that factor that means that you keep going no matter what. And this was the year that I chose everybody individually. And I remember her walking into the office in a little township where we were doing interviews all over South Africa. And she came in and recited a poem about her teacher. And when she walked out the door, I go, that's it, girl. Tando Doloma. I am here to say I am so proud of you. Long way from the township in South Africa, and her aunt has flown 30 hours to be here for this celebration today. Thank you so much. So today I come bearing some good news and some bad news for anybody who intends to build a life around your ability to communicate. So here it is. Everything around us, including and in particular the internet and social media, is now being used to erode trust in our institutions, interfere in our elections, and wreak havoc on our infrastructure. It hands advertisers a map to our deepest desires. It enables misinformation to run rampant, attention spans to run short, and false stories from phony sites to run circles around major news outlets. We have literally walked into traffic while staring at our phones. Now the good news. Many of your parents are probably taking you somewhere really special for dinner tonight. I heard. I can do a little better than that. Now that I presented some of the bad news, the good news is that there really is a solution. And the solution is each and every one of you, because you will become the new editorial gatekeepers, an ambitious army of truth seekers who will arm yourselves with the intelligence, with the insight, and the facts necessary to strike down deceit. You are in a position to keep all of those who now disparage real news. You all are the ones who are going to keep those people in check. Why? Because you can push back and you can answer false narratives with real information, and you can set the record straight. And you also have the ability and the power to give voice, as Dean Bay was saying, to people who desperately now need. I do know for sure, because I've been doing it a long time, if you can capture the humanity of people, if you can just capture the humanity of the people, of the stories that you're telling, you then get that much closer to your own humanity. And you can confront your bias, and you can build your credibility and hone your instincts and compound your compassion. You can use your gifts, that's what you're really here to do, to illuminate the darkness in our world. So this is what I also know, that this moment in time, this is your time to rise. It is. Even though you can't go anywhere, you can't stand in line at Starbucks, you can't go to a party, you can't go to any place without, everywhere you turn, people are talking about how bad things are, how terrible it is. And this is what I know. The problem is everybody is meeting hysteria with more hysteria. And then we just are all becoming hysterical, and it's getting worse. What I've learned all these years is that we're not supposed to match it or even get locked into resisting or pushing against it. We're supposed to see this moment in time for what it is. We're supposed to see through it and then transcend it. That is how you overcome hysteria. And that is how you overcome the sniping at one another, the trolling, the mean-spirited partisanship on both sides of the aisle, the divisiveness, the injustices. Use this moment to encourage you, to embolden you, and to literally push you into the rising of your life. And to borrow a phrase from my beloved mentor, Maya Angelou, just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides, just like the hope springing high, you will rise. So your job now, let me tell you, is to take everything you've learned here and use what you've learned to challenge the left, to challenge the right, and the center. When you see something, you say something, and you say it with the facts and the reporting to back it up. Every single day to exemplify exonerates and it convicts. It disinfects and it galvanizes. The truth has always been and will always be our shield against corruption, our shield against greed and despair. The truth is our saving grace. And not only are you here, USC Annenberg, to tell it, to write it, to proclaim it, to speak it, but to be it. Be the truth. Be the truth.
So with that, I will end this video and give your feedback, like, comment, subscribe, and thanks for listening. And this was not fake news.